The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Welcome back, folks. It's Monday, March 2nd, 2026, and we are tracking some truly significant and, frankly, heavy developments today. I'm Josh Cohen, and joining me, as always, is a man who currently has more grass-fed ribeye in his freezer than a specialized cattle ranch. It's a somber morning, Josh.
It really is. Roughly speaking, we are looking at a world that is, well, it's tilting away from the foundation. It's no joke, man. We're going to discuss the Austin tragedy and the broader security collapse today, and it's bloody complicated. But first, yesterday, we talked about that horrific Austin yogurt shop case, the exoneration of Michael Scott and Robert Springsteen. It was a catastrophe of the soul, the state sacrificing truth for bureaucratic expediency. And yet, we see Linda McMahon trying to stitch the narrative back together with this History Rocks tour. It's the duality of the American experience, Josh, the tragedy and the potential for a redemptive arc through truth.
Okay, while you're looking for redemptive arcs, I'm looking at the data. And the data says we have a busy show today, gang. We've got a major security breach in California with a mayor tied to a CCP spy, the NEA apparently deciding that villainizing parents is a core curriculum requirement, and the 2028 shadow campaign, which is already at a full sprint. Facts don't care about your feelings, and the fact is the political class is already looking past the midterms while the House is currently on fire.
It's the narcissism of the elites, Josh. We saw it yesterday with Joe Fitzgibbon appearing, well, let's be honest, visibly intoxicated at a budget hearing. It's the same pattern, the deconstruction of competency. And it leads to the loss of things that are beautiful and fragile, like James Van Der Beek. Exactly. And that's where we should begin, roughly speaking. When an icon like James Van Der Beek passes, and we saw the tribute at the Actor Awards last night by Ali Larder, it really drives home the fragility of the hero. He was 48, Josh. 48. He had 6 children. He faced stage 3 colorectal cancer with a kind of nobility that you just don't see anymore. It's no joke. He wasn't just Dawson Leary. He was a symbol of a certain kind of youthful American searching.
Right.
And to see him taken by a disease that, well, as the reports from CBS and other outlets say, is rising in men under 50, it's a manifestation of the chaos dragon in the most literal, biological sense. He used his remaining time to try and warn others. That's the individual taking responsibility in its highest form, the man standing in the face of his own mortality and saying, I will use my voice to protect others.
Okay. And let's assume, for the sake of argument, that the public awareness he raised actually moves the clinical needle. My wife, who is a doctor, by the way, did you know she's a doctor? She's been saying for years that the data on early onset colorectal issues is terrifying. But look at the GoFundMe, Walter. $2.6 million raised for his family. That's the market of human compassion responding where the bureaucratic health systems often fail. It's fascinating, really.
It's beautiful, Josh. It's the architecture of being. A man dies and the community, the tribe, reaches out to protect his 6 children. It makes me want to weep, honestly, because it shows that despite the postmodern neo-Marxist attempt to atomize us, we still care about the father figure. We still care about the man who stands at the head of his house.
Okay, let's bring it back to the spreadsheets before you start searching for tissues. While people are showing compassion in the entertainment world, we have a total collapse of ethics in the political world. Let's talk about Arcadia, California.
Oh, this is a bloody mess.
It's beyond a mess. Mayor Eileen Wang, who, let's be clear, has been a rising star in Southern California, is currently refusing to resign because her fiancé, Yao Ning, Mike's son, was just sentenced to 4 years in federal prison for being an illegal agent of the People's Republic of China. Hypothetically, if you're the mayor of a city and your fiancé is a CCP spy running a fake news site to spread propaganda, you'd think your first move would be to, I don't know, quit? But no. She's now claiming, roughly speaking, that he wasn't her fiancé. She's essentially trying to gaslight the entire public record, despite calling him a real leader in 2022. Folks, this is the logic of a failing regime. You have a foreign adversary infiltrating local governance through personal relationships. It's the classic honey trap or influence operation. And the response from the elected official isn't, "I'm sorry, I was compromised." It's, "Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes?" It's the devouring mother archetype, Josh. She's trying to protect her position at the cost of the truth. She's swallowing the security of her constituents to feed her own ego. It's pathologically narcissistic, and it speaks to a deeper vulnerability in our institutions. If the people we trust to run our cities are this easily compromised, what does that say about the integrity of the whole structure? Right? It's no joke. You see it in the way she tries to rewrite history. Whoever wants to say he's my former fiancé, please prove it. That's the speech of someone who has abandoned the concept of objective truth. And speaking of abandoned truth, Josh, let's look at the economic board, because this is where the material reality meets the spiritual decay.
Do you mean the LNG versus the Social Security dilemma?
Yes, exactly. Because this is the paradox of our time. On one hand, the U.S. is an energy titan. The Sunday Guardian is reporting we hit 111 million metric tons of LNG exports. We're outproducing Qatar. We're outproducing Australia. We are the masters of the flame, Josh. It's a miracle of engineering and meritocracy. Master of the flame. Okay, Prometheus. Well, it is, and this is the but that keeps me up at night. While we're exporting all this wealth, 74 million Americans are looking at their March Social Security schedules and realizing the 2.8% COLA increase is a joke. It's a lie. Roughly speaking, shadow inflation is eating the elderly alive. We are consuming the seed corn, as I said back in February. We're a superpower with a crumbling foundation. Okay. And let's assume, for the sake of argument, that the LNG exports are actually the only thing keeping the dollar from total collapse. If we weren't the global energy hegemon, that 2.8% adjustment wouldn't just be low, it would be catastrophic. The problem isn't the energy production, it's the entitlement math. My wife, who again is a doctor, sees the results of this every day in her older patients. They can't afford the copays because the federal government is using accounting tricks to hide the real cost of living. It's a stack of IOU notes in a dusty drawer, Walter.
It's a betrayal of the social contract, man. It's no joke. You tell a young man, work hard, pay into the system, and you'll be cared for, and then you devalue the currency until his savings are worth nothing. That is how you create resentment. And resentment, roughly speaking, is the fuel of the postmodern neo-Marxist fire, which brings us to the classroom, because this is where the fire is being intentionally set. You're leading the charge on the NEA docs. What are we looking at there? It's bloody horrifying, Josh. Leaked training materials from the National Education Association, the largest teachers union in the country, show they are literally training teachers to name the villains. And you want to know who the villains are? It's not the people failing to teach kids to read. The villains are parents who show up at school board meetings, and Republican politicians who want to keep gender ideology out of the third grade. The NEA is promoting templates for gender transition announcements. They are instructing teachers to center race, class, and gender in everything. This isn't education, it's a mobilization effort. It's the Advancing LGBTQ+ Justice Academy.
Wait, shut up. They're actually calling it an academy?
Yes, and it's no joke. They are explicitly telling educators to ignore parental dissent as a form of oppression. They are stepping between the parent and the child. That is a violation of the most sacred hierarchy in human existence. It's the devouring mother again, the institution that says, give me your children, I know what's best for them, and if you disagree, you are a villain. It's a psychological war on the American family.
And they're doing it with your tax dollars, while simultaneously fighting to keep groups they don't like out of the public square. Like in Iowa, where the state capitol is dealing with a civil rights complaint because they denied a satanic temple request to hold an event. Now look, I'm a religious man, but the legal reality is that these groups use religious freedom as a cudgel to mock traditional values. They don't want to worship. They want to disrupt. It's a tactical use of the law to create chaos.
Well, it's a manifestation of the spirit of negation. They're not building anything. They're just trying to tear down the cathedral because they're jealous of its height. It's pathetic. And yet, while the foundations are being picked at, the political class is already looking to the next horizon, Josh. Tell me about this shadow campaign for 2028.
Okay, folks, the road to 2028 is currently being paved with paper. Strategic book releases are serving as unofficial opening salvos. Gavin Newsom is on tour with his memoir, Young Man in a Hurry, which is hitting key early states like New Hampshire and South Carolina. Josh Shapiro just dropped his book. Kamala Harris is out there. But the real news in the last 24 hours, and this should worry everyone who likes their markets free and their borders secure, is the hard left push for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Right.
Progressive activists view her as the standard bearer for a party they feel must move further left to counter the current administration. She's been doing this global audition tour. She's gone overseas to talk progressive politics. She's positioning herself as the leader of the warrior caste of the left. Facts don't care about your feelings. And the fact is, if she wins the nomination, you're looking at a total realignment of the Democratic Party.
She's the personification of resentment, Josh. She doesn't want to fix the architecture. She wants to rebuild the whole house out of paper and good intentions. It's a utopian vision that always ends in a breadline. Roughly speaking, we are seeing a battle between the builders and the deconstructors, and 2028 is shaping up to be the final showdown.
Folks, before we dive into the main story, the escalating security threats and the strike on Tehran, we need to talk about why we're even able to have this conversation.
Sponsor message. Real independence isn't free. This entire network, from this show to our flagship, the Neural Daily, exists because one man, Eric Christensen, decided to build it himself. He didn't ask for a government grant. He invested his own capital and technical expertise to architect a media platform that respects your intelligence. If you value that kind of meritocratic building, back it up. And don't limit yourself to just the politics. Get the full strategic picture by subscribing to the Neural Daily and the rest of the network. Support the builder, and you support the mission.
Amen to that. Building is the only answer to deconstruction. And we're seeing a lot of deconstruction right now. Josh, let's move to the most pressing issue, the collapse of our security perimeters.
You mean the Tehran strike and the Austin fallout?
Exactly. It's a historical pivot point. We are tracking a convergence of security failures that should have everyone's attention. First, the news that broke over the weekend. A joint U.S.-Israeli operation took out Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei in Tehran. It's a move toward political realism. But the blowback was immediate. Less than 24 hours later, we have a mass shooting in Austin, Texas. 6th Street, Buford's Backyard Beer Garden. 2 dead, 14 injured.
And the suspect, Nadiaga Diagne, 53 years old, naturalized citizen from Senegal. Been here since 2000, got his green card in 2006, became a citizen in 2013. He walks into a crowd firing a pistol from his SUV, then exits with a rifle while wearing a hoodie that says Property of Allah, and a shirt with the Iranian flag on it. The FBI found a Quran in his car and an Iranian flag at his house. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that this was a retaliatory act. If a naturalized citizen can be triggered into a mass casualty event by a military strike 7,000 miles away, our vetting process hasn't just failed, it's non-existent. We're told that extreme vetting is a dog whistle, but then you have a guy in a Property of Allah hoodie shooting up Austin within hours of a strike on Tehran. The data doesn't lie. It's the chaos dragon breathing fire in the streets of a peaceful American city. Roughly speaking, the state has failed in its primary duty, the protection of the perimeter. If you cannot secure the border and you cannot vet those who enter, you don't have a country. You have a geographic area waiting for a disaster. It's no joke, man. These were people just out for a beer. They were trying to exist in a world that they thought was stable. And it's not just the high-profile terror stuff. Look at Virginia. A mother of two, fatally stabbed at a bus stop by a repeat offender who was in the country illegally. This wasn't a terror plot. It was just a total breakdown of law and order. The man shouldn't have been here. He had a record. He was a repeat offender. And now a mother is gone. It's a catastrophe of the soul.
Right, and the common thread here, folks, is a system that has lost the will to enforce its own rules. We strike the leader of a hostile nation, but we haven't secured the homeland against the response. We allow repeat offenders to walk our streets, and then we act surprised when the violence reaches our bus stops. It's strategic incompetence. Facts don't care about your feelings, and the fact is we are more vulnerable today than we were 48 hours ago.
It's because they don't believe in hierarchies anymore, Josh. They think all cultures, all individuals, all ideologies are equal, but they're not. An ideology that tells you to shoot up a beer garden because a tyrant died in Tehran is inferior. It's evil. Roughly speaking, we have to be able to say that. We have to be able to identify the shadow when it appears. And we have to demand that our leaders prioritize the safety of the individual over the comfort of the bureaucracy.
Well, that's why we're here, to bring the common sense back to the crazy. We have to demand accountability from Mayor Wang in California, to the NEA and their training rooms, to the federal agencies that let Diane slip through the cracks. The shadow campaign for 2028 can wait. The house is on fire now.
We have to clean our own rooms, Josh. As a nation, we have to decide that the safety of the individual, the sovereignty of the citizen, is more important than the feelings of the postmodern neo-Marxist collective. It's a long road back to sanity, but it starts with telling the truth about what happened in Austin and what happened at that bus stop.
It is, but we're on it. Folks, that's the show for today. A heavy start to the week, but a necessary one. We'll be watching those Texas primaries tomorrow very closely to see if the builders are starting to push back.
Roughly speaking, stay safe out there. It's a complicated world, but truth is the only thing that sets you free. Watch over your neighbors, and for heaven's sake, take responsibility for the world you inhabit.
We'll see you tomorrow. Back